Tennessee, it was a bit of a surprise. We were actually on the air yesterday. I think you have to regrade if we were to do a grade of the transfer portal and Tennessee's success or lack thereof. So as a reminder, the portal closed on Wednesday, but you can still take people so that they don't get just lost in the portal. And our own Caleb Gyro will join us a little bit later in the program, and we'll get a breakdown of where Tennessee is in the transfer portal and this class. But a breaking one yesterday and another BYU transfer that I think can definitely fill an incredible hole for the Vols that Tennessee just has to get better on defense. A report card on Tennessee's defense in 2022 will be up, and Caleb gave me the difficult one. He took the offense. Everybody's A something. On me, it was everybody C something at best. But definitely, I think based off what happened on yesterday, Tennessee is better off in the transfer portal than they were just a couple of days ago. And good morning to you, John. Good big orange morning from John Hill. What do you think of where Tennessee is in the transfer portal with their latest edition?
Yeah, we were breaking it down yesterday, and I think adding Gabe Jeudy-Lally from BYU that puts them in much better shape. Particularly, you remember this, Dave. Last year they missed to a certain degree. They went for secondary help in the transfer portal, and they may have gotten one. They may have found one guy in Wesley Walker, but it sounds like they missed on Andre Turrentine. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like that was just a whiff, and that's going to happen in the transfer portal every now and then. So they go back out this time and they pick a proven starter at two different schools. And we'll obviously have Jaru come on a little later to break him down a little more. And I think but just on the surface, here's a guy who has started in the SEC, started at BYU this past year. And so there's a lot of proven experience that he brings to the secondary. Whereas last year, I remember, and I think Heupel's going to go this route more in the future. Last year when he went after Andre Turrentine, that was basically like getting another commitment. Turrentine was a 4-star DB who had played 1 year at Ohio State, barely played. That was all about potential. And now I think you see Heupel going more for proven commodities in the transfer portal more than guys with potential, if that makes sense.
Even though I agree with you, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Andre Turrentine, I really felt like him and Wesley Walker were a little bit overhyped. Now, Walker lived up to the hype, but let me play devil's advocate with Turrentine. He could still have a good career at Tennessee. You're talking about a guy that didn't play very much at Ohio State. I felt like because of the 4-star ranking and he had played at Ohio State, that when he comes in, Tennessee fans a lot thought, hey, he should start and he should be the guy. That certainly wasn't the case. He was nowhere really in the rotation or even close that we know of. So I think you're right, but it wouldn't stun me if Andre Turrentine was a factor this year. I think he has the physical ability, or am I reaching on Turrentine?
Oh, you might be right on that. It could just be that expectations were set a little too high. Maybe he needed a year to just kind of figure it out. We see that a lot of times with players, particularly in the secondary, where they just really emerge out of nowhere sometimes. And so that might happen with Turrentine next year. I mean, it happened with, they say it happened with Danico Slaughter this past year, but I think the coaches talked him up a lot more than what I saw from him in game film, or Tamarion McDonald too. But to be fair, they got their way into the rotation, which they weren't really factors the year before. So you're right. The secondary is very fluid. Warren Burrell's coming back, by the way, from a season-ending injury, which we don't know what type of factor he'll be. I think the thing that's very clear with Tennessee, though, and this was the fundamental problem last year, and I still think it's going to be the fundamental problem this year, they don't have a number one cornerback. They don't have a cornerback that can guard the top receiver, and they haven't had one since Alontae Taylor left at the end of 2021.
Agreed. No,
and so
go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry, totally agree.
It's okay. Yeah, no, I think that and when you don't have that, we look at Trey Flowers' NFL potential, and I think he actually has some NFL potential, but it didn't show because he was covering up for so many shortcomings at cornerback, which happens with safeties a lot of times. A great example of that, Dave, would be, wouldn't it be, we talked about him in the past, but two guys that come to mind for me were Rashad Baker and Jonathan Hefney. I think I remember Jonathan Hefney, his last year as free safety, really had to cover up for a lot of shortcomings at cornerback, and it really hurt his draft stock because he almost could have left after his junior year.
No, Hefney was definitely hurt by what he did for the team, and there are players that are like that. One was Mitchell. I can't remember his first name. Linebacker, played with a torn ACL for the remainder.
Jason Mitchell.
Yes, Jason Mitchell. He was an incredible athlete. He wanted to give his all for the Vols, and good for him, but it probably hurt his NFL potential. I thought that Baker was similar. Honestly, I thought Baker should have been a receiver from the get, if you want me to be real frank with you. I thought Hefney also was a guy that bounced around a lot of different positions. That probably hurt him as well. And it's not to say you can't rise to the top. You can, but you make that early impression on NFL scouts, and sometimes that's tough to change. You get drafted as a cornerback or you get drafted as a safety, and you're talking about a 52-man roster. That's a lot different than having 85 guys. So you can get pigeonholed into that position, and it might not be the best position for you. You'll be in a great position if you go to Vols Automotive Group. Vols Automotive Group on Calhoun, the epicenter of car buying, right there in Knoxville. Vols Automotive Group is absolutely fantastic. So check them out. They want, they need, and they appreciate your business. And just unbelievable when it comes to their integrity there. And same for their service department. They'll get your car running with what you need and not just with what they want to sell you. How about that? I hadn't even thought of Mitchell's name. By the way, hit the like button. It helps us. And if you haven't set your notifications on our audio channels, which is Apple, which is Spotify and all that, set the notifications on, because just in the past couple of days, we've posted interviews that we've had with Jacob Warren. We are always posting interviews with Cooper Mays and on and on and on. So a lot of stuff on there in addition to the Daily Show, which airs every day at 10. I hadn't thought of the Mitchell name in a long time. You start talking about guys, and maybe this is a column idea for us, but you start talking about guys that have given their all for Tennessee. One that would rank up there, now it worked out for him, would be Jason Witten. Didn't want to move from defensive end to tight end. That obviously worked out, and that was fantastic. But there are guys who have clearly made decisions that do not help their pro future by decisions they make in college to play more or play different positions. That happens a lot, and we'll see if that continues to happen with NIL money, how that affects it. But certainly I think there are players that have done that before. But in the end, who?
Sean Bryson comes to mind. Bryson could have been a running back at so many other places, and he willingly played fullback at Tennessee.
No, he and especially okay. So he was fast. He didn't have the shiftiness to me, but he definitely could have played. He could have been a starting tailback at Tennessee. He could have been a starting tailback at any school in the nation. But especially, have you ever thought about Sean Bryson as a potential dot the I tailback in the Big Ten? Is that?
Oh my God, he would have been perfect.
I mean, you don't have to worry about the shiftiness as much. You're running between the tackles. You have power. You're punishing people with the combination of speed and power. That's crazy good.
Yeah. I think of him as like he would have been the perfect Wisconsin running back. Wisconsin always get those north-south runners behind the elite offensive linemen. So, yeah.
Travis brings up, and Travis, I'm not sure how old you are, but Jeremy Banks moving to linebacker got him to the NFL. Absolutely. So there are moves that help you get to the NFL that help the team as well. But Travis, I'll give you some more. How about this? How about Tennessee's entire starting linebacker core in '98? Al Wilson played tailback. Now everybody knew he was going to play linebacker in college, but Eric Westmoreland, Dominique Stevenson. I could go on and on and on of guys that did play tailback and were moved to running back. That was kind of the in thing to do, and they could learn it because John Chavis's defense wasn't really that complicated. So, Travis, that's good stuff. I like that.